gents, welcome along to, well, I suppose really the best way to describe it is a bit of a demo day by Kubota, showing off their brand new M6 series tractor range, kindly hosted by JA Blower Agri Services here in Stafford, so a massive shout out to them guys, thanks for having us as ever. So basically that's the crack. We've basically turned up and we're going to have a bit of a bash on these new M6 tractors. Basically just get a bit of a flavour, a bit of a first impression, and then hopefully maybe at a later date we'll do a proper in-depth review as we do. But for now we'll crack on and we'll have a bash. And I kid you not, I've literally just jumped in the seat right now, so this is a true first impression, so we'll see what happens. As ever, massive thanks to the sponsors for making LandPowerTV happen. Go check them out if you can. Also, if you've not yet, if you've not seen the main website, LandPowerTV.com, if you could go and have a look at that, that would be amazing. Just £30 a year to subscribe, and it's also free for a fortnight just to try it out. Also, if you want to find out a few more specs about this tractor, they're all on LandPowerTV.com underneath the video in the description area, so go check those out as well. So, the Kubota M6002 series, it is pretty much brand spanking new from Kubota. It's not a refreshed MGX tractor or anything like that. They have pretty much started from the ground up with this. Yeah, they've used a few tried and tested components from the Kubota stable. The range itself, it's got 3 models in there, and that spans from, I think it's from about 122 all the way up to 142. So it's those key models that all manufacturers just sort of want to get involved with at the moment. There just seems to be so much development in this horsepower bracket at the moment to sort of crack this market and produce a really appealing tractor that's just such an all little, you know, a good sort of compactish, proper all round, but with a really sort of versatile spec, and that's kind of what Kubota and many others, in fact, are going after with this tractor. So in terms of the M6, obviously it sits nicely below the M7 and takes a lot of design cues and a lot of engineering cues from that M7. And then it kind of sits alongside the MGX series, which this tractor, I thought the M6 was going to replace that, but it doesn't. Basically what Kubota are doing, they're going to keep hold of the MGX, and that's going to be sort of its utilitarian sort of tractor in this power bracket. And then the M6 is going to be sort of like a higher spec alternative. So they're going to keep both of them for now. But I think with stage 5 and everything that's going on, you know, meeting emissions regulations, the MGX will be getting a facelift at some point, possibly a new name. Like I said, the M6 just takes everything that step further. It's more spec than the MGX. It's heavier duty front axle, heavier duty back end, completely different gearbox, brand new gearbox. So it's yeah, just another alternative, another new model range in the Kubota family. So just in case you're interested, I think its base weight is about 6 tons, and then its maximum gross weight, I think that's about 9.8 tons. So you can fairly load her up. And also, if you're wondering, it's built in Japan. It then comes over to the UK, and then it's finished off. Final assembly is sort of done in Tame in Oxfordshire. That's where they can add a few extra bits of spec. And then as for the loader, which is now supplied by MX, again taking that spec level higher again. There's 3 specs of loader that's they're coming from MX, and it's branded up as Kubota, and then they are dealer fit, I believe. So we'll kick off with the cab and the controls and the layout. As you might be able to tell, and if you've seen on the M7s, I think it's pretty much the same cab structure as the M7, and if you look around the cab at the controls and the layout, it's quite similar to the M7 as well. But if you've never been on a Kubota M7 or any Kubota tractors, it's actually, in terms of the layout, it's fairly self-explanatory. I know I've said that a few times with lots of other tractors, but this one truly is. There's nothing sort of really hidden. You're not really guessing at anything. I mean, if we start in the middle, you've got a nice big old dash in the middle, good mixture of analog dials and digital display in the middle there. To the left of the steering wheel, you've got a nice, well, fairly good old chunky shuttle lever sits nicely in the hand. And then moving round to the right, all around this, well, mainly this area, as you can see, it is quite similar. It's just sort of a similar version to what you'll find on the M7s. It's just been sort of put on a bit of a diet, really. And then with this armrest on the right hand side, it pretty much incorporates all the primary controls that you'll need to operate this tractor. So as you can see, it's got a multi-function lever, as a lot of tractors do these days. I think it's had a bit of a resculpt as well, a few different materials thrown in. It's actually looking quite nice now. I always thought on the M7s it was just a little bit plasticky, but actually this is looking a bit smart. A nice little bit of a refresh there. Like I say, this is truly a first impression, and hopefully we'll get it at a later date for much longer, and then yeah, we'll work out over a week or over a fortnight what I really like and what's actually winding me up. But for now, I mean, as you can see, multi-function lever. Got all the primary controls on there, so you got shuttle, forward and reverse, you got linkage on there, and then you got a button to activate the automatic transmission, and you've also got 2 engine memories speeds as well, A and B. The lever itself, that's pretty much your transmission control, so down a gear, up a gear, just like that. And then for a range change, you pretty much press this button here, move the lever, and then you go up a range. But we'll talk a little bit more about the transmission in a bit. And also the engine as well. So we'll get into that, we'll get to that. And then moving back a bit, yeah, good old throttle there, PTO activation there, and then just, like I say, there's nothing hidden, and nothing that you've got to really work out. You've just got usual sort of tractive controls there, 4-wheel drive engagement, diff lock auto, 4-wheel drive auto, and then also a button here for Kubota's bi-speed turn function, which basically when you activate that, and you turn above about, I think it's 35 degrees, although I believe that can be adjusted through this little K monitor here, as they call it. So when you put in a steering lock above a certain angle, what it does, it speeds up the front axle. So the tractor effectively pulls itself round. Now, from what I'm told, yeah, you can use it in the yard, but as you can imagine, if you're speeding front wheels up on concrete, it is going to wear the front tyres out. So where it really comes into its own, and we might try this out later if we get a bit of ploughing, if this weather stays alright, is when you're doing cultivations and things like that at the headland, just makes headland turns a lot tighter. And I think the radius, they tell me, with that turned on, I think the radius is about 4.5 metres, something like that. But go check out the specs for a more accurate spec. So it's a nice little feature, very clever really. It just speeds it up. I think it's at the front of the gearbox and the output shaft to the front axle. It just gears it up, it's automatic. Like I say, it can be you can adjust that steering angle when it kicks in. And I think that's all done through here.